Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve podcast takes a close-up look at controversial subject matter and hot-button topics, adding humor, cynicism, and a dose of reality to the stuff we're not supposed to talk about anymore. Politics, religion, sex, gender identity, violence, corruption. Nothing is left unturned in this lighthearted approach to information dissemination. The world is experiencing a pandemic of cowardice. 80% of people do not believe the craziness they've been coerced to agree with. Grab a friend, grab a beverage, and dive in with us as we take on the narrative and blast social stigmas with truth. Here are your hosts, Patriots Ray Amanat and Steve Reed.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody out in social media land, YouTube land. Welcome to Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. Today, we're having some technical difficulties as my co-host, Steve Reed, can't get things to work on his end. I don't know. I think it's an age thing. I don't know. But anyway, those of you that have never seen Producer Debbie, here's Producer Debbie. She's in studio with us live. Hello, Debbie.
Well, hello, Ray. Nice to be here. Hello, everybody. I get to sit in and have a little fun with you guys today.
Steve, can you hear us?
Yes.
Oh, my gosh. Steve, did you figure out your technical difficulties? There's a cream or a pill for that, I think.
No, there isn't.
It might be a patch.
I'm getting feedback on my end, and I can't fix it. The two of you, I may jump in from time to time, but the two of you are going to have to banter the majority of it.
That is okay. We will take care of that. So, see ya, or want to be ya. All right. So, we had an interesting day yesterday. You know, today's topic is going to be about going to school. School board meetings. My brain just went. I'm having mental difficulties. Going to school board meetings. So, you know, Debbie and I, since we run a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to anti-bullying, of course, we try to get into as many schools as we can. Well, yesterday, three of Florida's, or southern Florida's biggest school districts, Pinellas County, Pasco County, and Hernando County, they all happen to have their school board meetings all on the same day. Pinellas was at 10 o'clock in the morning, which was fine. Debbie and I both attended that one. And then Pasco County and Hernando were both at 6 o'clock at night. So I attended the Pasco one, Debbie attended the Hernando one, and we're going to kind of give you some feedback on the experiences that we had from attending those. And you guys, I mean, we're all taxpayers, and part of our money goes towards schools. And if you really want to know what's going on with their schools, we highly recommend, whether you have kids or not in school, go attend these school board meetings so you can see what the hell is actually going on. I mean, it was an eye-opener for the both of us. So, I don't know, Steve, if you can hear us, I know you said you might have a video that you want to play.
Yeah.
Let's play your video, and then Debbie and I will kind of share our experience with Pinellas, Pasco, and Hernando County here in Florida.
It's actually a two-part video. I'm going to play the first part, which is almost 2 minutes, and then I'm going to play the best part. Okay, so hang on.
I'm back by popular demand. However, it seems I'm not so popular with certain people. One of them is your wife, Mr. King. She is very worried about me advocating for students. However, I want to commend her for bringing attention on her social media posts to some of my greatest accomplishments, like being the youngest person ever to give a speech on stage at a Trump rally. The crowd was over 10,000 people and millions more online. Also the fact I've been involved in politics since I was 6 years old. That was my own choosing, as my parents were completely uninvolved in politics until I expressed an interest in it. So, your wife, Mr. King, is upset that a 14-year-old is advocating so well for herself and others, that she's making her own decisions about the direction of her life. Apparently, she fails to recognize her own hypocrisy in all this, considering she supports the Pride movement, a movement that openly touts children as
Please, there's no personal attack.
as
necessary.
paupers decide to
Please.
change their gender. Let me speak.
No.
And
First
Amendment right. I reclaim my time.
I'm telling you, there's no
And
personal
adults
attack.
must
and
affirm
that's-
that time. Mr. King.
You could be a little more respectful.
Mr. Interrupting.
Excuse me?
I reclaim my time. This is my time to speak.
This girl is a powerhouse. That is just the first minute and a half. The last part of it is absolutely amazing. You are not going to believe what happens.
Roll it.
This is cancel culture at its finest. Get ready.
Not yours.
Where do you think you
Mr.
said?
King.
Thank you.
Mr. King. Others weighed in on your wife's social media post. One called me an unfortunate child. I'm not unfortunate at all. The unfortunate children are those of leftist parents who use their children's transgender identity as a badge of honor. Who fight to keep sexually graphic books in school libraries so their children can read them, then be susceptible to being groomed or victims of sex crimes. They want drag queens in schools and even take their kids to pride parades where men dance naked, women expose their breasts, and everyone touts the virtues, or lack thereof. With being part of all that insanity. No to all that. I am an extremely fortunate child. My parents taught me morals and values and how to critically think and do my own research. I have a dad who works extremely hard and even risked his life to serve our country in 2 wars. So I've learned respect for the American flag, Pledge of Allegiance, veterans, and love for our country. My parents recognized the decline of public schools and saved me from that toxic environment.
So it looks like the whole board just got up and walked out.
That's exactly what they did.
I would have taken another 15 minutes.
They are getting echo on my end, so I'm going to back out so you guys have fun.
So we didn't have, well, we had one instance at the Pinellas County School Board meeting where we did have a lady walk up, and she read excerpts from one of the books that they're allowing kids to read in the school. And the excerpts out of the book, and I'm guessing it was talking about incest and very graphically describing what the dad does to the private parts of the child and how it makes the child feel. And it talked, she went on for, I mean, she gets 3 minutes. And she went on. Tell everyone what your take on that was.
It was very uncomfortable sitting there and listening to someone read pornography for 3 solid minutes, and it was just uncomfortable. And another parent got up afterwards to defend the book and say the kids are going to learn this stuff anyway. Well, it's just reading, it's just words. But I don't think I don't think in a school library, it's not banning the books. I don't think in a school library that needs to be there. In the regular library, yes, don't ban the book if someone wants to read it, or at least have a section of the library where only children whose parents have okayed them to read those books can go and check out books in that section. I don't know. It was
So a question was posed. Well, unless they come up with a way to resolve the problem or issue, they didn't know what else to do. I, for one, I want to know how these books get selected to be introduced to the kids. Who's the decision maker or decision makers that say, hey, this book is going to be defined for talking about sexuality to the students? And who's the decision maker that decides at what age does that start? Those are the first two things. But, after Debbie and I went through that, I kind of looked at it as, okay, you have a book that if it's required reading, to talk about sexuality to their child, the birds and the bees and all that stuff. It's not up to the schools to do that. But here's a solution to that I came up with. I'm a public speaker. If the schools were to have speakers come in and talk to the students on specific topics that they want to introduce, but then have waivers where parents can sign saying, I do not want my child listening to this topic or this speaker, the power is back in the parents' hands, where the child can then just go to a homeroom and do homework or study while the school assembly is going on, based on the grade, whatever grade that they're in. So it's a permission slip that they send out to all the parents. If the parents want their child to listen to the speaker, then fine, sign the permission slip. If they say no, then the child has the option to not be exposed to whatever that speaker is saying and goes to a homeroom. For the second part, speakers need to be vetted as far as what their message is, so that they're not spewing right-wing, left-wing, or any type of hate. They need to be vetted that, okay, the material or content they're going to be talking about, that they're experts in that field on it, and they're doing it for educational purposes only, not to promote any other topic or event. So we would love your comments on Facebook or YouTube Live on what you think a good solution would be, or what did you think about what I had just said. You want to add anything more to it?
No. I've thought about it a lot since then, because it was, like I said, it was uncomfortable, it was awkward, it was shocking actually to hear it, and I've thought a lot about it, and I don't know what the solution is.
The expression on the chairwoman, the board of directors, the superintendent that was attending, the expression on their faces, this lady read these excerpts, were that of shock themselves. And if they're shocked by it, then why would they condone having that as reading material for students? If something shocks you, I know we talk about topics that shock people, but they're there because they want to learn more or educate themselves on.
And they're adults.
How not to, and they're typically adults. When we do children's program, we do child-friendly topics. It's hey, boys and girls, we don't get into things that you would talk about as an adult.
Right.
And then you had talked about the lady that was actually for having that reading material. She had said she has a 5-year-old child that's in kindergarten, that her child doesn't even read, so they don't have to worry about her child getting her hands on that book. What is the age range? When are they introducing it to kids? Those are all questions that need to be answered, in my opinion. We had, and this is seriously, you guys all need to attend school board meetings, please.
Yeah.
There was another gentleman that just came up. He came up twice, actually. That was obviously a left-leaning person that was for green schools. And he was like, all the schools need to be torn down and rebuilt, and he's not going to drink the water out of any of the drinking fountains in the school, and he's just called Governor DeSantis, Governor the Fuhrer is what he said, and he was just going off on all of these green topics that just blew us away. And then he came back later, and what was he talking about the second time he came up? He had newspaper articles and clippings and things like that.
Climate warming. Climate change.
Yes, everything he was doing was about climate change, and that new schools were affecting climate change. So, I mean, there's construction going all over the place in Florida, new apartments, new housing, new everything. You need to have a balance. There was really nobody there to contradict his statements. I was going to bring ours up later. But, Clucky. But we need more people to go to these meetings. If you have somebody that is going to harp on one topic, we need somebody to give that opposing viewpoint and let people truly be educated as to what's going on and what are good solutions.
It's not only just go to speak, but go to see how your tax dollar is being spent. Even though I don't have any children in the school system, I want to know that my tax dollar is being spent wisely. And there were a couple things that if I had children in the school system, I certainly would be questioning, but I question it just as a taxpayer too.
So let's go to a commercial break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about some of those tax dollars and how they're spending it with relation to charter schools, private schools, homeschooling. This will blow your mind away. So, Steve, if you can take us to our first commercial break. That's what I want. Latch on as soon as you can, make it hard. If I stand on one leg, can you yank me off balance? Yeah. If I stand feet wide, can you pull me off balance? Come on, what's the matter with you? How you doing? What was the first thing she did? She walked away. She took her eyes off of me. She looked away. I take her purse, I run. She goes to security, she goes to law enforcement. They're going to say, well, what did he look like? And you're going to be like, it happened so fast, I didn't see him coming. You didn't see him coming because I made you feel uncomfortable, and you took your eyes off me and walked away. The whole point is, and this does not mean I want you to go and flirt and talk to the person, or I don't want you to go, I see you. I just want you to, that's a cool shirt. I'd like to get that because my kids are in soccer. I'm letting you know I'm aware of you. I'm letting you know I can describe you. And we're back. And how you doing? So, hello. So the big part of what we try to do is when we teach self-defense classes, yeah, that can be uncomfortable sometimes. And we try to get people to get out of their comfort zones. And by getting out of their comfort zones, they're more willing to learn strategies and techniques that make them uncomfortable. Once they understand that, hey, you don't have to be a victim of this, they can pull themselves out of that comfort zone. if you're interested in being a sponsor or participating in any of our lectures or seminars, you can go to our website, heroesinaction.us. You can email me at ray@heroesinactionnow.org, or you can follow us on Facebook, and you can message us through Messenger on what your interests are, what your fears are, and we will try to set something up. Whether you're in Florida or out of state, we go anywhere and do lectures and seminars to help as many people as we can. So, how you doing? All right, thanks, Steve, for putting up all the information. If you want to help us, because we are a nonprofit, we do everything based on donations. You can just scan this QR code, which will take you to our website, and make a one-time or recurring donation, which enables us to never charge people to participate in our lectures or seminars. We're always looking for more donors to help, so please help out any way you can. And you can, there we go, we're back. Okay, back to what they were saying about, so they were trying to vote on, I don't know if it was a bill.
It was an amendment to a study that's being done. But in the amendment, what they wanted, the wording that they wanted was basically if any school in the county gets tax dollars, they should follow suit in the rules and regulations that public schools have to follow, since it's public money. Which on the surface goes, yeah, that makes sense. But I was thinking later and then did a little bit of research. That may stop a lot of people choosing the school that's best for their child, because Governor DeSantis has signed a voucher bill here in Florida in March, and that gives almost $8,000 to each family to use as they wish in what school fits them best. So they can use that in a public school, or they can use it in a private school, or it can go for homeschooling. Now, is that considered public tax money? And if it is, then that would be an argument to say that that money should not go to private or homeschooling. And if that's the case, that can stop a lot of people from going to the school that they choose.
My takeaway was also because they kept changing the verbiage. They kept changing it over and over again. They didn't like it. But they said, well, we want to elevate all other forms of learning to be just like the public school systems. And I'm like, wait a second. I want to go to a private school because I don't want the public school systems. I want to go homeschooling because I don't agree with the public school systems, or maybe even the private school systems. They're trying to make it to where no matter where you go, everything is the same.
Parity. They wanted to parity the
which is where I would disagree. You know, it's if I have, they were more or less saying that we public schools are better than private schools, better than charter schools, better than homeschooling, and that all the tax dollars should be the same for each, and they're just trying to level out the playing field. For me, no, that's why we have school choice. You go where you feel your child is going to get the most out of learning for their education, that's going to get them to college or tech schools or anything that they want to do in life. There is no even playing field. You're either a good school and you're giving people what they want. You know, I always told people when I had a brick and mortar martial arts school, if somebody left my school to go to another karate school, is it because I was bad, or is it because the other karate school was better than me, or is it because I wasn't offering the student what they were looking for? So a lot of times when you decide to go from a public to a private school, a charter school, or be homeschooled, it's because that school is not giving your child the type of care and education that you as a parent are looking for, and you have to be the main decision maker on that.
They were also talking about making the private schools, homeschooling, and all be accountable to show that they are meeting the regulations that public schools follow. So it was a little unsettling to think they didn't talk about that. They didn't talk about not letting the vouchers be used for that schooling, but it just seems to me an extension of the taxpayer money not being used or not being given to schools that aren't parroting.
Yeah, they're trying to
public
take
schools.
money. They're trying to take the money away from the other schools or other forms of education, so that they're stuck with the public school system. That was our take on that. And Steve had just texted us because he can't communicate because of technical difficulties. And Steve, please put these comments up on the Facebook post as well.
Yeah.
But government schools, Steve said government schools are there to indoctrinate children. And that's for you as the viewer or listener to investigate yourselves. And the only way you can do that is go to the school board meetings and get involved with what's happening with their schools. Steve, if you want, we need to go to the second network break. If you can.
Life isn't always sunshine and roses. Sometimes it's full of roadblocks. The kind that aren't as easy to fix as filling a hole or repairing a car. Personal roadblocks are another thing altogether. Why do I feel stuck? The same things anger me every time. Why am I doing this anyway? Fixing it yourself can be frustrating and confusing. And if more than one person is involved, DIY might mean destroy it yourself. Maybe it's time for another solution. Steve Reed shines a light on your roadblocks and helps you find the best way forward for you. Stephen Reed Ministries, bringing light and hope for a victorious life. To overcome your roadblocks, schedule an appointment with Steve Reed today.
So, those of you that want more information about what Steve does, Steve is phenomenal at his job. Go to, for more information, go to info@stephenreedministries.com. If you want to shoot him an email or get a hold of him, you can. I can't read that. Visit. Here, you read that. Hold on. Glasses.
StephenReedMinistries.com.
Oh, go to his website at StephenReedMinistries.com. Thanks, Steve. And Steve. Steve works on all issues that families or just individuals deal with, whether it's any type of alcohol, drug dependency, if it's marital issues, if it's something that's going on with your child. He step by step takes all the information in and then tries to help come up with a solution to help your family get back on a path to clarity and success. So please reach out to Steve as often as you can. I can't tout him. I would not be partners with him on this show, Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve, if I didn't believe in his message and what he does. He is a wealth of knowledge. Get a hold of him. Talk to him about it. All right, you want to share your experience with Hernando School Board meeting?
I was up at Hernando last night. There were quite a few people that spoke. About 30 people spoke to the board. Some had just concerns. There was a father that was concerned that the pickup spot for the kids for the school bus was almost a mile away from their home. And he didn't want his kids walking to it, but he had to leave at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work. So he would have to drop them off that early in the morning and one or two of his children were older, so it wasn't like little kids standing there, but still he was concerned with leaving them there by themselves until the school bus got there. So that was a legitimate concern, and the board said they would look into that. There were some people that I felt sorry for the board I know they were frustrated with their problems, but one woman came up with a mirror and said, "Look in this mirror, do you like what you see?" and yelled at them, calling them by name. So one gentleman got up and was cussing at them and calling them different words that some parents asked them to please stop because there were children in the room. I felt sorry for the board. They were frustrated, but they went about it wrong. And so, yes, the board isn't always right, and you have to, like I said, go to see how your tax dollars are being spent and put your 2 cents in about if you have children, how your schools are being run, but also have some consideration that they are probably being pulled from all different directions. The state regulations, the county regulations, what the teachers in this school want, what the teachers in that school want. So I think they probably have a tough job. So it was interesting. I learned a lot. I spoke to them about Heroes in Action, and thankfully they seem like they're interested, and we'll be having a meeting with them in a couple weeks. But yeah, the board in general, I kind of felt sorry for them.
Give her a round of applause. Give her a round of applause. And that was Debbie's first time. She spent a lot of time trying to, put together her 3-minute presentation, and the two of us going back and forth as far as what would be appropriate to say about who we are and what we do. And she goes, "Well, I'm used to speaking." But when you got up there...
Oh, I had my legs were shaking. I got a terrible case of the shakes. But I just plowed on through.
And Steve says oftentimes the boards do not listen to the parents and community.
Yeah.
That was our main message, is getting everyone on the same page when we were at all 3 school board meetings, is getting the school staff, the students, and the parents all speaking the same language, speaking the same strategies as far as resolving issues or problems that are happening in schools. And it's what I call the 3 Ps. It's school policies, school procedures, and school programs. And how does that include parents so that there is transparency in knowing what's happening with their kids in that district. So Steve's voice is through text message. They raise their voices and use strong language to get their attention. Yes, they do.
That's true.
Now, when I went to Pasco, it was a little bit of a different... Well, first of all, Pinellas County, they started off with a choir that was very, very, very... the coach or the teacher, the choir teacher was... You could see his passion. The students, through their expressions while they were singing, you can see they love what they're doing and that they wanted to be there to, uplift the room. So that's how they started their meeting. When I went to Pasco, there was actually about 200-300 people there. But it was mainly because they had a lot of kids that were getting special awards for scholastic achievements. Even though this is the beginning of the school year, I'm guessing it's scholastic achievements for the previous year. I wasn't really clear on that. But they give the kids certificates. Some of the kids got to win headsets. Other kids got to were awarded with their own iPad. And they were very excited about that. So all the parents were there supporting their kids. Once the kids got their certificates and awards, then half the room cleared out, and there was about 150 people still there to listen to everything else about the meeting. A lot of it was positive for Pasco as far as the things that they're doing, how they're budgeting for, it's real hot out here in Florida, and if the air condition breaks down, that's their biggest thing. What are the solutions for that? And they came up with some creative solutions to save money, to be able to keep the classrooms cool for the students to continue learning. So, I didn't see or hear when they were talking about their budgets a lot of wasted spending, but you still want to attend those meetings so you can see if your school district is throwing money at things that they don't really need, that are inappropriate. From there at Pasco, there was only a few people that came up to speak that were kind of negative Nancy's, and again, it was more. Here, you talk about that. What he's saying.
Steve's asking if they talked about security at the schools. No, I didn't. The ones that I was at, they didn't talk about security at all.
When I got up, after I got up and talked, I had 3 people come up to me, gave me their information. The school actually said, here's the person to contact to be able to set up presentations within the school. So I think with Hernando and Pasco County, I have to reach out to meet with the superintendent of Pinellas County and see if we can get something going there. But safety issues, when I brought it up, I saw a lot of heads nodding. Yes, not only from the guests, the families that were there, but also from the Board of Education. And so I think they understand that there are issues that need to be resolved, and if they can bring an outside organization like Heroes in Action in to kind of shed some new light on ways they can handle that, then that might be a good thing for us. But all in all, the Pasco meeting wasn't that bad. There wasn't too much drama there. It was more touting the successes of the students that were there, and looking forward to having a very prominent school year this year. Law enforcement presence, yes. And I don't know about Hernando, but both the Pinellas County and the Pasco County, there was heavy law enforcement presence for the board meeting. Just to make sure there was, and I was on high alert, because they were there. I was on high alert, just looking at everyone, walking in, because at any time it could be an active shooter situation. You just never know with those meetings. But yes, there was a high law enforcement presence. Steve, you want to go to our third networking break with OBBM Network?
Now your DFW events can be listed on the DFW events segment of OBBM Network News. New episodes posted each week are reaching people right here in your own backyard. Get in on this. Now it's affordable to reach thousands of people in new markets, offering exposure to your professional network like never before. Get us your listing by Tuesday at noon, and you'll be included in the following week's release on Monday. Email info@offbeatbusiness.com for our digital media kit and discover a better way to reach DFW. Not hosting events? Your business will benefit from the exposure our events list generates. Take advantage of brand exposure on the ticker or with the logo graphic, video advertisement, even a QR code. Click on our QR code to access our digital media kit now.
And we're back, and we're very appreciative of the OBBM Network for hosting us on their show, syndicating us through a lot of other platforms like Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, as well as Facebook, YouTube. So if you want to look us up on any of the other platforms, just look up the OBBM Network. And Steve, if you have their website that people can go to, or their information, I think there's a ticker for that. You can go to email Susan at susan@offbeatbusiness.com if you want to be an advertiser on any of their shows, including ours. Get a hold of her, and she will tell you what you need to do to be a part of our programming. So thank you again, OBBM Network. So, I'm going to go off on a little rant, I guess, about the importance of being involved with schools. We try to get into schools to have a reduced amount of office referrals. Office referrals are a child gets in trouble for fighting or gets in trouble for talking back to a teacher or misbehaving in the classroom, and you go to the office. Now, the next step for office referrals is ISS. ISS is in-school suspension. Depending on the severity of the behavior of the child, they could be suspended in school. That means they stay after school, and parents or guardians have to come pick their child up, and it's for a specific amount of time based on their policies and procedures, what the consequences are for what that child did. The next step is OSS. That is out of school suspension. OSS means your child did something so heinous and so bad that they can't come back to school for a week to 2 weeks. That depends on the school district. Don't quote me on any of that, but that depends on school district. It might not be in all schools. Private schools have their own guidelines. Public schools have their own guidelines. But OSS is out of school suspension. That means your child is not learning anything at home, unless they get homework sent to them by the teachers or by the school so they can kind of keep up with the class. But they're still not getting the mentorship and guidance that they need to be successful in school. Next step, ladies and gentlemen, your child gets expelled. They did something heinous, violent, brought a firearm or something, threatened somebody, whether it's through social media or anything else. You are expelled from school. You are not coming back. Usually kids that get expelled from school, if it's a single family parent household, mom can't keep an eye on that child all the time. That's when they get into gangs. That's when they get into drugs. That's when they get groomed to be trafficked. And when a child is groomed to be trafficked, that goes, they commit crimes. That goes down a whole nother dark path of what that child's life is going to be like when they're expelled. After being expelled, depending on what that child does out of school, if they get arrested for anything, they go to the juvenile detention center. Based on their age and the severity of their crime, can they be tried as an adult? Then they go to jail. So you're looking at how important it is to keep our kids in school. That office referral. Our goal with Heroes in Action is to create the least amount of office referrals within the school districts so that they don't have kids that are going through ISS, OSS, expulsion, and ultimately juvenile detention center or become career criminals, get into gangs, or they get trafficked, which that gets them into drugs, it gets them into prostitution, which ultimately, if they try to get out of it, they become homeless or they commit suicide. So, the more you sit back and do nothing, the more you don't get involved with what happens in our schools to make sure all the kids stay in school, they get an education, and they have policies, procedures, and programs in place, it's a lot of P words there, that help reduce office referrals so that they don't have to worry about the ISS, OSS expulsion. You're going to have a higher success rate within that school, whether it's private, public, charter, or homeschooling. You want your child to have a successful, to be successful in school at that age so that they can be successful in life when they're adults. You want to add to that?
Just after the Pinellas board meeting, there was a gentleman who spoke to the board about just about kids staying in school, I think, and he talked to us afterwards. But he was saying how what you just said, how the kid gets expelled from school, and he gets into the gangs, and then he gets in trouble. If he's home alone, the parents might have a gun. He might get hold of that gun. He might go out and do something with that gun. He ends up getting shot by the police. Lives are wasted. And so school isn't just, they have to go to school, they have to read the book, they have to do this. It's keeping them in a controlled situation. It's teaching them self-control. It's teaching them, help me out here. What am I looking for?
She's at a loss of words.
I'm at a loss for words. But
it's giving them the discipline.
Right. Thank you. It gives them the discipline that they can carry through their life. And I even brought up for the kids that get in trouble and end up having to get shot by the police. I mean, think of that it changes that person's life too. The police officer that had to do the shooting. So many lives get changed when kids don't stay in school and don't have that structure.
No, check your text messages is what I was pointing at. Steve's trying to tell you.
He says discipline starts at home. Yes, it does. Yes, it does for everyone. But to be realistic, there are homes that there are no discipline in.
There are homes that are, the dad is not involved in the child's life and the mom's working 2 jobs.
Right.
And blah, blah, blah. We know that story all too well because there's a lot of schools that they're dealing with low-income families that don't have a lot, and discipline is really, really hard. It's not just I'm taking your cell phone away or your iPad away or you're not allowed TV time. It's okay. Is that truly correcting a child's behavior? It's coming up with better programs that build a child's self-esteem in themselves so that they have the confidence to be successful. You don't want to tear them down or break them down. You want to build them up. But, you want to build them up in a way. And there's a lot of people that don't know how to do that. That's where Steve's programs come in. That's where our programs come in. And if we don't have answers for you, we can give you answers, or we can connect you with other professionals that can give you those solutions that handle those problems. Steve had commented. This is just Steve. Let me let me do this. I gotta get the right sound effects.
I was going to say too, discipline.
Why don't you say what Steve had said?
Steve says duct tape them and put them in a corner. He didn't put LOL afterwards. But no, the word discipline, everyone thinks of that as punishment. The actual meaning of discipline is to teach. And so the discipline should be teaching them how to correct their behavior, how to do better in the future.
Let's give her a little. No, okay.
I need applause.
We'll give you.
I learned something in school.
We'll give you a victory sound effect. Okay, so wrapping up our discussion today, ladies and gentlemen, schools are like small cities. City, you're going to have a mayor, you're going to have a board of aldermen, you're going to have law enforcement, you're going to have everything. Schools, you have the superintendent, you have the alderman as the board of education. Teachers are actually, even though they have school resource officers, teachers are also kind of the watchdogs that keep the kids safe. So they're not just educators, but they're also people that are there to make sure nothing bad happens to your child. Can the police see everything all the time that happens in our communities? No. That's why we have neighborhood watches. That's why they say if you see something, say something, you report it. Same thing in schools. We try to talk to the kids that if they see something that's bad, they need to not be afraid to report it so that the teachers can be aware of it and they can correct the behavior before it escalates into something worse. So with that, we thank you for listening. We would love your comments. Producer Debbie, thank you for sitting in with me because my co-host Steve with Clucky the chicken was not able to participate. He kind of did. But thank you for watching. Those of you, please like, share, And
Let us know where you're watching from.
like, share, subscribe on our YouTube page so that we can see how many viewers that we have and keep a better track of that. Bob, thanks for watching. Thanks for the input. And also KD, thank you. And anyone else that's watching out there. This is Ray Amanat.
And Debbie Schofield.
And of course, Steve Reed with Clucky. Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. Have a great week.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve. If you have suggestions for topics you would like us to discuss, or you would like to become a sponsor, reach out to us today at tabootalkwithrayansteve@gmail.com. In the meantime, check out the other amazing programs on OBBM Network on all your favorite podcast platforms. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment. Join us again for another fun and informative opinion-based episode. This is Taboo Talk with Ray and Steve.